Okay, today we're going to build a couple for loops and show you how they increment. And um, this basic program that's not complete is sitting in Schoology for you. If you would navigate to Schoology, stop the video, upload it to JGrasp, and type along with me or just follow along. When I'm done, I will provide a finished one on Schoology for you. There's a Word document already there that has all the coding, so you can just open that up and follow along. All right, so the for loop program demonstrates the basic features of the for loop. All right, so we have one instant variables, count, because I want to keep track of how many times it runs. Our constructor instantiates count as 0. Right? So we have two methods. We have our program and we have our main method, which I already have filled in the necessary code to run program. All right, so first we want to do increment. All right, so this is the increment forward, which is plus plus. All right, doesn't always have to be increment of 1. It could be increment of anything. I mean, it could be plus equal any number, like 2. It could go by 2s, but today we're going to go by 1s. All right. So I'm just going to, for sake of formatting, I am going to put a star line down to separate the two outputs. So we're just going to make it fancy. This is just to separate the two. You'll see later. All right. So we have a for loop. So here we got 4. Now you have 3 parts. First, you have to do a local variable that represents the index of where you're going to start. Now, the name of this variable could be anything, but because it represents index, I'm going to call it index. All right? And I'm going to start at 0. Each one of these 3 sections is separated with a semicolon. All right? So then we want to check our index against some terminating value. So how many times do we want this thing to run? We could have it run 10 times. All right? Increment. And then we want to increment up. Okay. This line, no semicolon. All right. Then you have a body. All right. That's the end of the for loop. And then inside here, what I'm going to do is I'm going to do count plus plus to keep track of how many times it runs. And I'm going to print system.out.println. So we're going to do the index and print the index. And we're also going to print count times run. And here we go, count. This does get a semicolon. So we're going to compile this. I'm going to raise it up and we're going to run it. And notice it starts at index 0 and it goes to index 9. Our terminating value was 10, So once index, the very next line right here, if index was 10, all right, let's go back up here. Once index becomes 10, this becomes false, and it no longer enters the for loop body, and it goes down here. It will now go to line 30 and continue on down with the program. So this is the path. It enters the for loop at the start, where it starts. Once it enters the starts, it goes to the Boolean expression. If the Boolean expression is true, it enters the for loop and does whatever code you have in the body of the for loop. Once it's finished with the body of the for loop, it will go up to the third part, the increment or decrement part. Index goes up 1, and then it returns not to the start, but it returns to the Boolean statement. And it just loops in this direction. Boolean statement, body, increment. Boolean statement, body, increment. Boolean statement, oh, now it's 10. 10 is not less than 10, it becomes false, so it kicks out of the for loop. Now, if I were to eliminate this, all right, so I'm going to eliminate our increment. All right, compile it. All right, so it doesn't like that, so I'm going to put a semicolon there. See if it'll do that. All right, so notice there's no increment. Index is not going to go up, so it's always going to be 0. And watch what happens. When we run it, index stays at 0, and the runtime just goes on and on. Because we did not increment, and we never made the Boolean expression false, this for loop is an infinite for loop, and it will never end. It's trapped. It never gets out. The only way to get out of an infinite loop is for the user, the person who's running the program, to physically terminate it by pushing end. See, process ended by user. Otherwise, this thing would go on forever. You want to stay away from infinite for loops. It's not a good thing. You will come across some AP questions that check you against infinite for loops. All right, so this is the forward one. So now what we're going to do is we're going to copy all this, copy it, going to go down below it, paste it. Now this is decrement, dec, and we're going to go decrement, so we're going to go backwards. And this would be a minus minus, or if you wanted to go by 2s, you go minus. All right. So here, instead, for our for loop, we still want to start somewhere. So let's start at 20. We're starting at 20, and we're going to stop at, let's stop at 5. All right. So whenever our index is greater than 5, all right. So in this case, we start at 20, go to 5, and let's go by 2s. All right. going to go by twos. So this is going to show the count. So it's going to go 20, 18, 16, 14, 12, 10, and so on. And then it's going to show how many times it runs. So let's compile it. And then when we're going to run it, oh, here, what I want to do is I want to add backslash. I just want to separate the two a little bit, all right? Because it won't be all messy. So in the top one, the increment, it went from 0 to 9. Once it hit 10, it kicked out. It ran 10 times. Oops, I forgot something. Look at this, 11, 12, 13, 14. What's going on? Ha! Count. The variable count was not reset to 0. I messed up. So let's go above this guy. Let's reset count to 0. Because we you know, just so when our second run, I want count to be 0 again. All right. All right. So 1, you know, here we are. It went through 1 through 10. 1 through 10. What is this doing? Come on, come on, go up, go up. Here we go. 20. 20, 18, 16, 14, 12, 10, 8, 6. Now, the next one was 4. The next one was 4. So 4 was not greater than 5, so it kicked out. I mean, if you want to make them both look kind of similar, and then we could just do minus minus, and they would look very similar. You could see the difference between the two. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, because it started at 10. And once it got to 1, 0, 0 was not greater than 0. 0 was not greater than 0. Oops, up here. Right? So it kicked out. So this is a for loop. Now, look at this, especially line 25. Look at line 25, the 2 semicolons. All right? This is how many times, this is a for loop. This number is terminating, right? This could be 10 would be like the sentinel. So for your homework, what we're going to do is we're going to change your while loop. Let's look at this guy. This is a while loop. We're going to change this line in your while loop to a for loop. Change that line to a for loop where this guy is your sentinel. You know, you asked how many grades you want to enter. So in a for loop, you got to know how many grades you're going to enter. So you need to ask, in this program, in here, in your program, you need to ask, how many grades are you going to enter? In a system.out.print, how many grades are you going to enter? Then, in your header of your for loop, you put this, instead of putting a hard number here, you put that variable. I don't know what you want to call it. Number grades. So you ask the question, how many grades are you going to enter? And you store it using the scanner in num grades. All right, so I will take average grades and edit it so it tells you what the requirements are for changing your average grade program From a while loop, you're going to change it to a average grades with a for loop. And instead of asking, do you want to enter another grade, you're going to approach it by asking them up front, how many grades are you going to enter? And then you have a finite number. So it gives you the example that a while loop could go on forever and ever. If I have a lot of grades, I could just keep going. But with a for loop, you need to know up front, how many times are you going to run it? All right? So that's what we got.